Hey yo, I'm Baldy. This my head. This is my bed. And leaning back while no one can take me seriously because who's gonna watch a bald man lay down in his bed and talk? We're gonna go into politics. And this is probably gonna make me look bad because I'm gonna shit talk a little bit of everyone here and I'm gonna kind of be a moralizer and pretend that I'm better than everyone else as if I'm not a complete fucking idiot and completely learned all of my politics from YouTube and online content creation. Because, like most people in America, I can't be bothered to actually learn a lot of these things. And I vote based on what my heart says, which is also probably idiotic. But hey, welcome to my channel. I'm going to talk to you starting at my youthful age of maybe like 14. And I don't know if you remember this, but there was a sweet time in YouTube where if you were a Christian or Catholic growing boy or perhaps girl, there were a lot of skeptics online. And you may remember this when r/atheism was popping off, that there were a lot of skeptics on YouTube. One of those, for me, was Armored Skeptic. Nowadays, he does like really good conspiracy videos, and he did a talk recently about how essentially we're kind of getting fucked over worldwide, like beyond conspiratorial and more doomerism. But hey, he's kind of right. I like the fella. Good guy. He used to basically go into these Christian videos that were posted that would like try and talk people out of their LGBTQ ideas, or the Christians may just like be extremely hateful or spiteful to those who don't follow their religion. And then they would what's the word? The Christians would relay their messaging by attacking those they disagreed with actively. So, as an example, maybe I'm a good Christian boy, and maybe this is a true story. Maybe you see someone who's gay, and you've been taught your whole life as a Christian, like, hey, that person's gay. They're going to burn in eternal hellfire, and you should hate them with all your being. The last thing you want to be is gay. And then, that would be pretty bad. Like, if you would feel that. Maybe they would make it a little flowery and really make the person feel bad about themselves, but overall, this was a fairly consistent message across the board, Follow my religion, do the correct religion things, or face eternal damnation and hellfire. And Skeptic used to tear them down, He was a big on bringing these people to a more human level, getting the ideas, laying them out, and then explaining why they were wrong and explaining the best ways to view their argument positively and negatively, kind of feeding into the skeptic brand. He wouldn't fully take them down. He was trying to talk about the subjects. And I could tell, as a person who came from a Christian or Catholic background, that he may have had some religious background. He didn't come to these thoughts and ideas as a person who may have started out atheist. At least that's the feeling I always got. And that very early on formed my politics to be dead center, nearly. I went from a little right leaning as a kid, because my parents were kind of right leaning. I mean, my mother would vote Democrat, but she would vote Democrat for food stamps. My father was Republican, but then he started voting Democrat because he said that most Republicans were racist. It was very interesting. My family has kind of followed my similar path of they used to be very right with some, a big focus on hatred of gays. That was always the big one. I mean, you probably heard it a lot if you're around my age. I'm 26 now, and around my age, it was thrown around as an insult. It was a pretty common thing. Hell, I still use it sometimes kind of ironically with my actual gay friends. I'll be like, "You're so gay." And they're like, "All right, sure thing, faggot." Like, I love them. But that's how it is sometimes. Brandy, you sweet bean. But yeah, it was like that for a long time. And I basically really only politicized myself in that kind of space. I would stick around the skeptical areas. I kind of touched on Amazing Atheist, pre banana situation. A little less, a lot of less after that. I watched Sargon of Akkad, very right leaning creator, if I remember correctly. I watched The Quartering. I don't like him very much. I mean, I don't know. I'll talk on it later. He feels like one of those stats guys. I'll get into it a little bit, but it's not 100%. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm misjudging these people because I haven't watched them in a couple years. But my memory, in its fuzzy state, remembers Quartering very right, very disconcerting. I watched Jordan Peterson. He feels like the the strong right leader. Like in my head, if I think of a right leaning person who's good, is Jordan Peterson. Because even if you don't like him, he has a lot good to say. And maybe he's a bit of an idealist and he kind of leans into his politics too much and thinks they're gonna change the world actively, but at the same time, he speaks to a lot of people on a personal level. He does get to know those who talk to him. He doesn't downplay others around him, which kind of, he has some very charming, charismatic traits, despite how powerfully he leans in a direction that I myself don't really see myself ever touching again. Then we got like me kind of leaning to the political left. Now, I'm absorbing all this right wing content. How did I start leaning into the political left? Well, it started with Armored Skeptics' girlfriend. Shoe on head. And despite what the internet will tell you, Shoe is a very left leaning woman. She had her trans friend on for several things. Before Blair went super right wing, she would always hang out with Shu too, and she wasn't super deep into the political culture, and so like Shu, she has her trans friends. This is a very token situation, but Shu has her trans friends. Not to mention, she mentioned, that while she enjoys the trad wife lifestyle, she doesn't mind the gays. She kind of likes the gays even. She's always been very left leaning. She's a supporter of a lot of the freedoms that us sweet Americans should have, like weed and guns. So, she kind of got labeled alt-right because she dated Armored Skeptic, who was like center, and then suddenly got labeled alt-right because of his position on YouTube. And then Shu was kind of left. And then through Shu and Skeptic, I watched Chris Ray Gun. Now, this guy, incredible musician. Oh my fucking god. The dude, he made some tracks that sing to my edgy heart, and he did this cover of one of the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark songs. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out, the worms crawl in up through your snout, or something like that. It's a pretty grim song, but his voice is beautiful, his guitar playing beautiful, and he posted political videos, and the dude was fucking funny. This guy, he's a silly little guy. He does his little chair roll, he rolls on in, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on, you fucking cunts? Let's talk about today's political topic." And he'll go into it. He says his opinion, he's very open about it, but similar to me, he very often would cap it off with, but I'm kind of a fucking idiot sometimes. And it's like, if he wasn't educated on something, he didn't act as if he was. And if he was educated on something, he made it known. Because he would go in on it, especially if it was Halo. But yeah, in any case, Chris kind of introed me to Lacey Green. And Lacey Green was this very sex positive leftist creator. And I watched her for a fair bit as well. And then from her, I jumped onto a lot of channels. She was like my main hub channel. I don't know if anyone else does this. I have like a hub channel that I watch for the day, and then I kind of go down a recommended rabbit hole where I may pick the first to like 20th recommended video, just scrolling through looking for whatever looks interesting. And I would just, if I found I hit the end of a rabbit hole, I would just reset on her channel, watch another video, and then start again. But yeah, I would do that for a while. So I took in a lot of this content, and, you know, I'm now maybe 20, 22 at this point. I'm in college. I've been through it. I had a couple girlfriends. I've had my first sexual experience because I was a bit of a late bloomer. I had a lot going on at the same time, and my political leaning became left. And it's kind of sitting in this center left now, center libertarian left. I'm not big on the authoritarian. And it's kind of sat there for a long time. God, I need to stop saying that. So now I'm 26. I watch Turkey Tom, fucking. I don't watch H3 anymore. I don't watch Keed. I watch Pyro, but Pyro's a shit poster. He's not really political. I feel like I watch Hassan sometimes. Hassan Piker, that's an easy one. I watch Destiny sometimes, though I really don't like him. Destiny is the most unlikable person on this site. I watch him because sometimes he's smart, but other times he just keeps talking, and it's just fucking yap, bro. Man talks and he has nothing to say, and I'm like, okay, cool, go on, Destiny, go off. And his fucking whiny. This is me complaining now about another creator. Sorry, I've been getting a lot of Destiny in my recommended, and sometimes I like him, other times I disagree him. No matter what, I still watch the content because I think it's good to be informed, even with opinions you don't like. But yeah, we got him. Hassan, also not very likable for different reasons. I also think Hassan is legitimately kind of dumb. And by legitimately, I'm like, when people say he's a himbo, I fully believe that. The man just says the same shit regurgitated or repeats ideas. It's very uninteresting. But there's enough people watching him and feeding into his content that he can relay information that others may not provide. We used to watch DJ Killer Keemstar in this house. That was the sweet 2016 YouTube time.
Yo, I'm about to burn down this house. Are you fucking ready? Are you ready? I'm about to spill fucking bars like diarrhea. I'm about to nuke the whole city like North Korea. Are you ready? Walked in the woods. Found a dead dollar. Found a dead dollar.
Not as much nowadays because I don't dip into YouTube drama as much unless it's on a video essay for an hour and a half long by the right opinion. But overall, or Colossal is crazy. Oh, fucking love that man. Overall, though, I haven't absorbed as much politicized content. And now I want to break one of the greatest social taboos by talking my politics. Really putting my ideas out there and maybe getting some friends to hate me, getting some people who never met me to hate me, or maybe to convince some people that maybe it's not so bad to be like me, to think like me. I'm just the guy in his bed having a silly old time though, so you don't gotta listen. All right, let's go with the basic ones. Economics. I'm a big fan of Asmongold. Asmongold, probably one of my favorite content creators right now. His ability to bring up stoicism and kind of show his mental fortitude in the face of a lot of really unprecedented amounts of opinion sharing that were unasked for. And he takes it and he rolls with stride and he brings some very good ideas to the table. One of those being, you have to be able to accept criticism levied against you. What I'm saying is, you you can kind of bring bullying back. I feel like people get a little too in their feelings sometimes about cyber attacks, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. When people are mean to them online, I am of the very simple mentality of block, mute, move on. And if they keep harassing you, then it's a case and a problem. But if you're not blocking, muting, or moving on from these people and you just keep letting them get into your feed and they're like the only thing in your feed, it's your fault. Legitimately, it's your fault. There's no reason. At the end of the day, close app, turn off phone. It's a real thing you can do. On that same token, he'll bring up important things economically, which I think are good. Because, he came from a broke background and now he's a little dummy rich, so maybe he can't talk as much about work. He's had some bad opinions on that. But the idea of a universal basic income, I mean, coming from a guy in poverty, obviously I want UBI. It'd be very nice. It'll raise my ass right up. But even if I wasn't in poverty and I was paying a portion of it, I feel like a UBI would be just the best thing for a society to function. If everyone has a starting point where they can live, eat, and sleep comfortably, they're gonna be bored. And what do bored people do? They work on things. They make things. If you want people to be productive, let them eat, let them sleep, and let them not be caught out in the rain. And sure, I get it. Some people are going to be lazy. But for how long? How long have you been able to sit home and do nothing? How long have you been able to sit home in all your fucking glory, laid out, comfy as can be, and stay there? How many days? A month? At most? Maybe a week? Fucking think of COVID times. People were going cabin crazy outside of gamers. And even gamers, they weren't going cabin crazy because they had Discord, they had Twitch, they had ways to communicate with people that the normal person probably doesn't use. But it exists. It's a way to survive in their state at home. And if they had a UBI, maybe they focus on that. Even if it's dumb, even if it's not productive to society by default, it is useful to keep people alive and happy within your society. Is it not? Or is it better to just keep giving rich people money to send up rockets and make, bad cars or something? No one targeted in particular. Look, I don't even mind Elon. And this is kind of crazy from someone, more left-leaning. I don't care about Elon that much. I think whatever. He's an eccentric quote-unquote billionaire who does what he wants with his money. He made the money. He can do what he wants with it. But I'm on that same token of, if he's going to be able to make his money and do what he wants with it, he also should be able to use his money for good. I think some of the stuff he's working on isn't that good. The Neuralink, kind of porkers, not gonna lie. SpaceX, revolutionizing space travel like none before. Twitter, cesspool, hate-filled, the worst thing ever. But it's really funny and has good porn. Like, overall, the guy has not done the worst job. But people don't like him because he has a lot of money and he talks a lot. And I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of content creators talking on politics is they have a lot of money and they talk a lot. So they're automatically disliked and their ideas almost discarded by anyone who doesn't agree with them. So I try to absorb it. I try to absorb it all. We look at all the sides and we make our decision like adults before we vote or do anything in general. We should probably look at the facts, even if the facts are really fucking boring. So let's be real. No one's gonna look at the facts. No one's looking at the stats. No one's actually doing the work outside of these political YouTubers, and so few of you will click on a document that would lead to the base source. Now, this is where I think I'm better than you, because I do that shit. Every fucking allegation that comes out against a YouTuber, every time I read something overly politicized on Twitter, my fucking autistic ass goes on this Googling journey to prove that my idea is right. And I sit there and I sift through all the data. And then after I learn it, you know what I do with it? Fucking nothing! It was just for my satisfaction. God, it feels good. Fuck. Feels good. So now I'm going to give you my decisions based on all of that information. Economics, UBI, absolutely a necessity. Healthcare, I don't like it in its current state. I haven't had a doctor visit since I was 18 years old, and I got off of my family's healthcare. I've been alive for 8 years, don't know how. My heart sometimes feels a little funny. I can't afford to figure out how. That's probably a problem. But hey, you know, whatever. Can't change that. Let's go on the race issues. The right side has this big problem. They're quietly racist. And by quietly, I mean loudly. The far right, let's be real. When you bring up your stats, quote unquote, you're doing it to push a narrative every time. If you show me what all these Muslims are doing in some specific area from this one stat page that may not necessarily have the best source, or if you show me the incarceration of blacks to whites to Hispanics and you don't bring up the full demographic information, if you don't give me a full picture of the situation, and you're doing it because you know that the layman is not going to get a full picture of the situation, you're racist. You're just being kind of racist. You chose a demographic. You were like, I bet a lot of people don't like black people. This will get me some views. And then you posted the data. That's what you did. Don't pretend like you didn't. And then there's kind of like the middle right people, you know, which I'll be honest, I really like these people. I think they're kind of funny. You know what? This is the reason a lot of people get idealized into the right, is that the right is really funny. You got your Turkey Toms, you know, you got Shin Bapiro. I mean, PewDiePie's not right, but people consider him right, so you know what? That makes the right look better. Like, when you look at all of that, when you start seeing all these people who are funny in a way that is a little careless, like they don't mind if they offend people, they don't mind if people are hurt, but it's not necessarily tearing someone down, and it's not like consistent harassment. If it's like a one-off, it becomes kind of an enjoyable viewing experience. I was there for 2016 YouTube, bro. I was there for the Leafy drama, the Idubs, the Keemstars, the Pyros. Oh, it was magnifique. So good, so funny. Look at them, their playground insults. They're so silly, the dumbasses. And people just frowned on that and said cyberbullying. And now you kind of get people more radicalized, because if they're not radicalized and chilling on the right, they won't get the support to be funny. And then it makes the left look bad. The crazy thing is, a lot of these people that, you know, will make fun of other races, you know, because that's what's going to happen. Usually they'll do like a messed up voice or impression in the further right. But sometimes it'll be somewhere in between, where they'll be like, they'll make fun of a fat person for being fat. They'll make fun of a skinny person for being skinny. They'll make fun of an ugly person for being ugly. And while people act like sometimes these aren't subjective facts of life, that some people will find you to look fat, some people will find you to look ugly, some people will find you to look kind of funny. Maybe they laugh at your face. You know, it's all about that other person having the confidence to take that hit with stride and moving on. That makes you a charismatic and likable person. But what'll happen if you're not able to do that, if you can't take the hit, or maybe, you know, it's hard. Maybe you're very sensitive, and truly, when people say these things about you, it hurts your heart on the inside. You kind of fall in this weird part in kind of the middle left, where I would say it's comedy is dead. where you kind of try to find a new form of comedy and you're not willing to make fun of life or its weird little aspects. You're not willing to make fun of yourself because what will happen is there's a lot of self deprecation over here. But when it's self deprecation over here, it becomes kind of like this chamber of this positivity chamber where people can't laugh with each other or laugh at each other. And I mean, to an extent, that can be good, you know? If you have a very supportive community, a lot of people who love you, that's fine. Sometimes you'll still get like some pretty nasty comments in between those, and you can take them personally or do what every other person on every side of the political spectrum who's chilling online does. Block them, mute them, move on. Far left does this, far right does. Block, mute, move on. Asman does this, fucking Hassan does this. Block, mute, move on. It's such a simple solution to so many online issues to just not listen to it. But instead, what will happen is the only thing they want to listen to is the sound of their own farts. And they get trapped in this little echo chamber of whatever their little political ideology is. They get locked down. And you know what they do while they're locked down? They bitch, they whine, they moan all together with their friends who agree. And that's it. It just becomes an echo chamber, a dick-sucking contest by everyone inside of their political sphere. So what's my solution to that? So after economics, you know, UBI and all that, I believe we should legalize weed and have everyone just roast the shit out of each other. I want some slap boxing to start happening again. You know, we used to slap box back in school. That was a good time. That's how you showed off a little strength. You know, what are some other great solutions from from my standpoint? Realistically, it's just move on with your lives and then, you know, have fun with it. Like, life is not meant to be taken so seriously. I definitely feel the more we politicize communication between each other, the more we try and make it about arguing, like, I don't like the way these guys think on the right, or God, these people are insufferable to the people on the left, you know? Like, you can hate each other's ideology to an extent, but if you're never willing to communicate or meet a middle ground, nothing's gonna change. You're never gonna hit this sweet spot, right? And in this sweet spot, we got weed, we got guns, we got gays, we got gay loving. We got all the good shit. From the right, you know, maybe we get a little more economic boost, less government intervention, you know. We want to legalize weed on the left, and over there on the right, they hate the government touching their taxes or anything involved. So, whereas on the right, there's this extreme need to turn all of their rhetoric into free speech, and on the left, there's this extreme need to deplatform and censor anything that isn't right think, you know, as in good think or good ideas. There's this middle ground where I feel we should meet and communicate as people, as fellow humans. And we should be able to say, hey, maybe the government shouldn't control all of our money. Hey, maybe we should have more than 2 presidential candidates. Hey, maybe poverty shouldn't be such a rampant issue when there's so much extreme wealth despairing between the top and the bottom. But that's just my leftist heart. Then my right heart says, hey, when we get all this wealth, it should be ours. Hey, I don't want the government to intervene and take away my rights from me and my family as private citizens. Hey, the control that this government has over all of us as American citizens is very intense for how little they are offering us in return. They make all of these rules and facilitate many, many ideas, but then they tax us to high hell and really do nothing with it. And this is coming from the poor. I am the poor. I'm on the left. And I'll tell you what, government programs ain't shit, especially as a single male. Hey, clearly I get no bitches. I'm talking about politics on YouTube. As a single male, I'm gonna make it clear for you right now. You ain't getting no food stamps. Unemployment is a hit or miss if you lose your job. God forbid you get housing. Oh my lord. None of these government programs support you because you are not a woman, pregnant, or married. And that's why so much of the right are kind of these incel, MGTOW types, because they've earned their money. And they don't want to support all of these people who didn't earn their money. And it sounds crazy, doesn't it? But you never even look at the other side, because why the fuck would you? If the right starts paying more taxes, you on the left are supported better. So you're going to feel better about those decisions. When a tax break goes through for a major corporation, we on the left, we'll all feel it. We're going to be like, oh, damn, for real, they're going to get another tax break and we have even less to work with. But the people on the right celebrate that. Well, maybe not all of them, but at the very least, the corporation will. The people at the top, and those people are likely men. And as a man myself, not doing any like self-hating man thing. I mean, if I was up there, I'd want my fucking money too. I did all that work. Shit, that's my bread. But that's not the world we live in. The world we live in, there's a lot of fucking people, and wealth is the only thing that changes your rate of survival. Wealth is what allows you to accrue the necessities to live within our society. Wealth is the only thing useful if you're not in the fucking woods hunting your own food and building your own shelter. Because realistically, if you don't have money, you don't have food, you don't have housing, you don't have a way to get around. You don't even have transportation to escape where you are. You don't have the freedom to shit in your own fucking bathroom, bro. You lose everything when you don't have wealth. So why is the system set in such a way where these people can make such an extreme amount of wealth? There is no good bottom floor. There's only, 0 to negative, because you got to go into debt sometimes if you're trying to survive. Why isn't there like a little bit of a cushion, a little ceiling? Why wouldn't our government give us that to allow us to get further? And then the more I think about it, once again, this is just from watching YouTubers, so maybe I'm uninformed. Maybe this is a crazy conspiracy theory. But the more that I think about it, I think about how much money these corporations have and how easily they can access political figures, and how Jordan Peterson himself is a massive political figure. Like how these massive figures with all of their wealth can keep communicating with each other and our government on such a personal level that maybe a couple deals are slipping through. Crazy talk, I know. Corporations paying for bailouts, ways to make more money, ways to skimp on workers' wages and only make money for the very, very top, affecting everyone below, men and women alike. Then what happens is I get this other feeling where there is no right or left. There's the right, there's the left, and then there's the corporations. We're already in a three-party system, aren't we? The people with the most money can just pay off the guys on the other two sides to spread their rhetoric and ideas and even get bills passed. And then I remember that I can't do anything about it. I'm in my fucking bed talking to a goddamn camera, losing my shit because we're fucked. We're all fucked. Or something. I don't know. I promise I'm not actually high or anything right now. I'm just kind of on a ramble. But at the end of the day, I feel like there's a few things that we could get right politically, and those are to stop letting corporations have so much political power, stop having it so there's no way for people in low income situations to recover, stop having debt be the primary monetary system, stop having drugs that will only affect the user and no others around them, be criminalized. Guns, do we need as much gun control? Yeah, probably. You don't really hear about gun issues anywhere else, but I like guns. I think they're cool. So simplify the process by, having an ID and a mental health check and fucking call it a day. We don't need much more than that. I get it's fucked up, and I get there's gonna still be issues, but like, it's our amendment. It's our right. Living in America, that's one of the things. And realistically, if I'm gonna be honest, if we don't have guns, who's gonna rise up when everything goes down, I don't know if we're ever gonna go to war with some other country. Shit's all kinds of fucked up around the world right now. Hell, I don't know if we're gonna go to war with our own country. There's talks of civil war near every fucking day, at least among my circles. It's crazy. Like, people are really upset with the current state of things. And our government is doing nothing to amend that. They're simply accruing debt and not properly using all of the money that they hold to deal with it and pocketing it. The fact that so many representatives get as much money as they do, and they're supposed to represent the interests of the layman as a rich person, is fucking insane. Obviously, there's a need for an education. There's a need of understanding of law and the important things to run the country. But fuck me, do they need to line their pockets more after that? Do we have to keep letting them do that? Do they get to keep having recesses instead of, actively working on change? Why do they get to do all that shit? Why does our government allow for this to happen? I know the people on the right don't like the government. They only support it in its current state because it's listening to their ideas. But, as soon as Joe Budden got in power, they say, Sleepy Joe, he fucking America up. As if, the previous guy didn't have 4 years to change shit. And he fucked shit up too. Mind you, I didn't mind that stipend. Stipend was pretty nice. But everything that happens now is a result of the president before. It's just how it is. They changed the country, and we're seeing the results. In the next 4 years, if our boy Donald Trump wins again, any good things that happen, probably going to be Biden. But then the 4 years after that, if good things happen, you can attribute it to Trump. Because that's how it is. Time passes, people do good or bad things. But I'm going to say the reality, none of them did anything. Because the president is a fucking useless figurehead. The only time things have been done was when executive power was used. And when the executive power was used, fucking everyone hated it. Everyone was so mad. They were like, I can't believe you're doing this. And then we lost a fuck ton of money again. I don't know. Our government is extremely flawed. It needs a full fucking overhaul. We need to not have old ass fucks running our country anymore either. Hate that shit. There should be an age limit from like 35 to 60 with a physical and mental test. I don't care. Look, Joe, good guy. He's trying his best. I loved him when he was by Obama. But watching him run the presidency is like, It's hurting me. It's hurting me, man. He doesn't make us look good. Bro, did you see the picture of him with Putin? I've never seen Putin look so sad with a president. That shit looks crazy. We look crazy as a country. Fuck, this is America. Don't catch you slipping, no? Oh my God. Oh, what do we do? How do we get out of this hellscape, boys? I want to overrun the government, but I really like being in bed. Bed's comfy. So I feel like we got to find a simpler solution. As kind of a lazy fuck guy who doesn't really get the moralizing and ethics that most people do for their side, I feel like we just need to find a way to talk with our fellow man and survive together that maybe doesn't have such an overbearing, high up power. And I would say state level powers, but then state level still gives a little too much power to some majority, and there's fucking, think like the Roe v. Wade being repealed situation. And I'm sure plenty of people are happy about that because of their politics, but like, it's not a good thing to take away people's freedoms. I don't think it's ever been a good thing to take away people's freedoms. I don't know. I kind of want to do it the way that Diogenes did it, or Diogenes, however you say his name. He was an old philosopher, a cynic. He developed the idea of the cynic, and I don't know if it's related necessarily to cynicism in its purest form, which is just like, fuck the world, everything's awful. But he was a cynic in the sense that he believed in true freedom for human behavior and human interaction. And this is going to get a little weird. Diogenes stood in a ceramic bowl, something like that. It was just a big old ceramic thing. He would lay in it. He would lay in it completely nude. Now, this man, he was a very well-renowned administrator within his society. He was very high up. I can't remember if it was Athens or what, but I'm pretty sure. I think it was Athens. Either way, he was very high up on the ladder. And then he essentially one day said, "Society is rotten to its core. There is no true freedom in this society." That was kind of like the basic premise. Man sits in his little ceramic bowl, completely nude. Dude would shit, piss, jack off, all he wanted in that thing. He was not a very likable guy. But he also did this at a time where giving up that type of status was kind of crazy. Like, imagine, kind of a serf situation. You got your kings, your queens, your peasants, all that. He was in a high level position within society, not too far off from maybe like a duke in that kind of scenario. And then he dropped himself to below the lowest level. He was a beggar. He served no function to society. He wasn't even a peasant who farmed. He simply asked people for money and his food, and he believed in this idea that he was the truly free one living in this state, because he didn't feel shame. He wasn't bound by the shackles of society and shame. He didn't give a fuck, bro. So, dude would just ask people for money. When people came to him, he would insult them or talk to them just at random. He didn't care. He didn't care what people said to him. He would get his ass beat on a daily. The dude went through some of the most hellish treatment, but he was extremely profound, and he was an intelligent mind. People knew he was an intelligent mind. And then he spoke on it. He spoke on how he felt about society in its current state. And while it wasn't very well accepted while he was alive, later on we studied it, it was brought up a bit in college for me. So what did he ultimately say? He believed that animals essentially lived freely. He thought of a dog on the streets. You know, a dog shits where it wants, pisses where it wants, it fucks if it wants, it sleeps if it wants, under the sun as the Lord, you know, presented him to the world. The dog does not care about the petty squabblings of some, man and woman going at it about whatever. The dog doesn't care how you look at it and think it smells bad. The dog doesn't care that you that you have your space and enter its own. It will bite you if it feels threatened. It will let you pet it if it wants to be pet. It will shit if it felt like shit. It was that kind of animal. It was free. It was simple. Humans gained shame. We began to rationalize all our things, and then we put on these invisible shackles, he said. These shackles of shame. And within our society, we would allow shame to prevent us from being greater, from being lesser, from being who we truly are deep inside. Because maybe you go to your job every day and you're living that fucking dream, bro. You're making 6-figure salary, you have a wife, 2 beautiful kids, but you don't give a fuck about that. But you keep on doing it because you were told your whole life this will make you happy. That is the shackles of shame. The shame that even though you are given the happiest scenario in your life, you're still unhappy. Because you don't want that. Maybe you wanted something else. Maybe you wanted to live a creative life. Maybe you didn't want to work the job you're working. Maybe you didn't actually want your family, even, in a fucked up way. That could be a real thing. But regardless, the shackles of shame keep us working on those things. Now, I'm not saying to go to his extreme. Obviously, I don't want to see some dude jacking off in his ceramic bowl outside my house. I'd probably beat the shit out of him like all the other kids did too, back in his day. But when he put the ideas on paper, I could really get it. The dude met up with kings. I think it was either Napoleon or Alexander the Great, one or the other, who came to him and basically tried to talk to him. He immediately insulted him. And in response, he just, our great leader, whoever he was, laughed it off. And he was like, you know what? This guy's sticking to his guns. Because not only did he feel this philosophy of shame was so strong that he had to prove it to the world, that society was rotten to its core, preventing people from being free and happy as they are truly. He lived it. He chose the lowest caste of society so no one could say that he was simply riding on the laurels of his wealth or his knowledge or whatever. He lived a world where he should have felt shame shamelessly. And he died happy. He died respected. He died a philosopher who proved his philosophy through his very being. It's gotta be worth something to think about. Hell, we still talk about cynics to this day, albeit a little bit of a negative light, but the fact that his namesake remains means that it has some value. So, what do? Get over our fucking selves. Stop arguing with the other side. Stop pretending we know what the fuck we're talking about. Stop letting people who pretend they know what they're talking about control everything. And return to taking control of our own lives. for better or worse. So we either all become individualists, separate as a nation, free ourselves from the shackles of society, and kind of live in a little bit of an anarchy state where everyone just kind of, you know, rules amongst each other. We become very survival of the fittest. Or, you know, we could just chill out a little bit. Maybe not trying to deplatform everyone we disagree with. Maybe even if the opinion is really bad and really shit, still listen to it and have an open mind that maybe that really bad and really shit opinion has some grain of truth or has some basis that may have led them to this way of thinking. Maybe we should be able to communicate again. And it's weird to use one of the most antisocial men ever to mention communication, but I think a lot of times people want to sling shit at the people they don't like. They want to be angry at each other, but I feel like on a lot of the times, what they really want to do is change the person's mind. They want the person to think like them, but they don't know how to make the person think like them, so they lash out and act like a fucking asshole to whoever they meet on the other side. I'm saying on the other side because this goes for left or right. I said it a lot this video. Well, I don't know. This is probably long as fuck TED Talk. If you listen, what the fuck? You good? How you doing? You sexy, yeah. Bring that ass here, boy. Video done. Yeah, I'm in swimming trunks. You like my belly?